So I had a thought, more or less completely out of the blue, that I just kind of felt like sharing. I was talking about this whole Valve thing with PAX, and we both kind of came to the same conclusion. And I know a lot of you are going to hear this and be like, oh, well, duh, this is just repeating what everyone else has said. But I don't think I actually said this yet, and a lot of people are still asking me my opinion on the Valve thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If Valve was willing to actually police their own stuff, none of this would be an issue. Steam Greenlight is a cesspool because Valve does not police it. The early access thing has had so many fraudulent issues and difficulties because Valve doesn't police it. The modding thing would probably actually work if someone was willing. You see where this is going. Now, yes, I get the argument. Time, money, etc. You, however, have no one to blame for that but yourselves. You guys opened the barn doors and were like, go! And now there's thousands and millions of people just storming through there, which include a lot of people who are, let's call them, future candidates for the expansion into Pluto category. In other words, people who need to get the hell off of this planet. People who ruin things for everyone else, in short. And another thing that just occurred to me as I'm saying this right now, wouldn't it be nice, and supposedly Gabe Newell has said something about this. I don't know if this is true or if this will be implemented, but it would be nice if the whole modding thing had an option to donate or give $0. In other words, if they were still free as an option. And I know this goes back to that whole donation concept. And here's the thing. Some people have asked me to summarize my thoughts on this whole situation, and I can't. It's impossible to. It's like trying to ask me to summarize my thoughts about World War One. It's not feasible. I can't. I mean, I'm not good at communication in general, but I cannot construct my thoughts into a smaller format. At that point, there's just too much to be said. Is it necessarily a bad thing that this whole modding thing, this whole modding for mod thing? No. Is it necessarily a good thing? No. Is it possible for it to be abused? Yes. Is it possible for this to be a good thing to help support people into elongating, this is the kind of thing that could encourage more people to do mods, to get into modding. And what is modding if not an artificial extension of a game's lifespan? There are people who play Morrowind to this day, Morrowind, because of mods. I play Oblivion to this day because of mods. Mods extend a game, and we get to share in other people's enthusiasm with the game because of modding. It's one of the reasons I've always been such a huge enthusiast in modding. Never mind the creative argument, which I gave during the more rambling video earlier. For those who don't know what I mean, you will always have more creative potential from the modding community than you do from the developers, because by simple fact, the more people you add to a pool of intellectual thought, the more creativity you're going to have, period. Different perspectives, different mindsets, different cultural backgrounds. Shrug, right? Well, there's always going to be crap, but so the idea of trying to encourage the modding community, yeah, I'm totally with that. But then there's one other thing, and this is the third point I wanted to make here in this quick summary video. I know. I said I wouldn't summarize, but I'm trying here. I'm trying, guys. Why is it that Bethesda and Valve get the lion's share of the money? What's the... I mean, even if it was a little bit closer of a split to 50-50, I'd be a little more okay with that. But Valve is making way too much of a percentage of the money for what amounts to no real reason. Now, you could argue that that's how human society works. People who don't really do a lot of work make the most money. That is actually how economics works in general. That doesn't make it right, and that doesn't mean we have to necessarily support it. But that brings me to my final point. What can we do about this? Nothing. I'm dead serious. What can we do about this? The door has been opened. Pandora's box has been unleashed. And even if Valve goes back on this, which they probably won't, and even if Valve actually polices themselves on this, which they probably won't, we still now have the idea out there. And other companies, I guarantee you, if not within this year and the next year or the next year, will start picking up on this idea. And as has been mentioned by other people who are far more reputable and intelligent and generally better than I am in every way, this is going to become a new DLC issue, which I will now summarize in brief because I'm trying really hard to mash my points into a few sentences here. The DLC issue is that DLC is not necessarily a bad thing. It isn't. DLCs that are good, well, I feel like DLCs that are good are a great thing. They're the exact same, they do the exact same thing that mods do, really. They extend the lifespan of a game. They make it so you can go back and re-enjoy it. Yay, that's awesome. But those are good DLCs. The word DLC has become a bad word amongst gamers because it has been so abused by so many developers and so many publishers across so many years. We're kind of sick of it. And that's why it's the exact same problem. Yes, there are still probably going to be good mods, just like there are still good DLCs to this day. But if this actually becomes a trend, if this becomes the norm, mods will become a bad word just like DLC is now. So, yeah, whatever. I guess I have nothing else to say.